Next, we're going to go to the property map. Here's the property map page, and on that you can see that Parcel 1, the Barker parcel, is outlined in red. The PRO is going to be colored in yellow. Hopefully you can see that. The net WD take in the T area is going to be blue. Hopefully you can see that. So you can see that it's a narrow strip along the road frontage, leaving the vast amount of the Barker property untouched. The red arrow indicates we're going up station. So up station is going from the left to the right, down Trenton Oxford Road to Jacksonburg Pike Road. The arrow is pointing to State Route 73, Trenton Oxford Road, and the other arrow is pointing to Jacksonburg Road. And what this project is all about is eliminating the at-grade intersection with a new roundabout at the intersection of those roads. What we're going to look at now are what are the properties that surround the Barker property. We want to see if there's any land hooks or if there's other properties involved with the Barker property. The first orange box that you're seeing is owned by Wayne Township trustees. That happens to be the cemetery property. Directly below that is another property owned by another person who is not the Barkers. Next is another property abutting the Barkers that is not owned by the Barkers. North across the street is another property not owned by the Barkers. Below the Barker property is another property with a land hook that is owned by the Coulters but is not the Barkers. Next is another property not owned by the Barkers. Above that is another property not owned by the Barkers, and across the street is another property not owned by the Barkers. It appears that the WD and T acquisitions are a narrow strip along State Route 73. The Barkers own no abutting land to their 5.042 acre tract. It's looking like the Barker property is both the whole property and the larger parcel. The Barker tract is very close to the new roundabout. We're now going to move on to the detail sheets, which are the right-of-way plan sheets. This is detail sheet 7 of 22. What we're looking at is Highway Station 688, and that red line is the westerly line of the Barker property. And their property runs to the center of the road, just to the right of Highway Station 688. And I've yellowed in an area on the plan sheet that shows that the Barkers own Parcel 1, and you can see that there's a line running from the left to the right from that yellow square showing the approximate location of the Barker property. I've brought up an aerial to the left, and that red arrow is showing where the plan sheet, the area of the property you're looking at on this plan sheet. And here is the street view. That yellow line that I just put in on the right-of-way plan sheet, that marks the approximate location of the PRO. There's a red line that's below the yellow line. That would be the net WD take. And then there's a blue line below that, and that's the approximate location of the temporary. And that dotted line is a match line. So this sheet will match with another sheet at that line. What we're looking at is the same plan sheet, but without the detail. This plan sheet focuses on the legal descriptions. And again, there's a note on the plan sheet showing the Barker property, and we've drawn lines in to show the approximate location of their property lines with the takes on there. All right, next plan sheet. This is sheet 9 of 22. You can see the match line. So the previous right-of-way plan we were looking at matches up at that dotted line with this plan sheet. And at the other side, there's another match line which will match with another plan sheet. That dotted line to the left represents the location of the property line, the westerly property line for the Barker tract. That black arrow shows station 689, 690, station 691, 692, and 693. There's a distance of 100 feet between each of those highway stations. And that aerial to the left shows the approximate location of the right-of-way plan that we're looking at with the aerial. To the left, I've just drawn the take area. Then there's the red line that's running horizontally on the sheet is the property line for the Barkers that runs to the center of the road. To the right is the location of the take, and the bottom horizontal line is the extent of the 1 WD take. The yellow indicates the PRO that exists within the WD take, and the uncolored space is the net WD. Below this in blue represents the 1T take. There are trees in the take area, shown by the arrows. There's a stone wall entrance in the take area, also shown by the arrows. There's a concrete drive within the take area, shown by the arrow. And there's chain link fencing that's taken, also shown by that arrow. Now this is a blow up of the drive entrance for Parcel 1. This is the sheet we were just looking at, and what we did is we took a portion of that sheet and blew it up with emphasis on the driveway. And I'm drawing in a blue area. This is the existing drive detail shown on the right-of-way plans. This is what the drive looks like before any taking. Now I'm drawing in red. This shows the proposed drive. This is what the drive will look like after the project is done. All right, so you can see that the throat of the driveway remains approximately the same width, which is approximately 20 feet. So the drive throat remains unchanged both before and after the take. Now drawing in the stone wall. That stone wall is within the take area, so it will be removed. The stone wall is on either side of the driveway. The WD fee simple taking leaves the right of ingress and egress to the residue. Part of the entrance wall may encroach into the existing right-of-way. You can see where that black arrow shows the pillar at the end of the entrance wall. That pillar is on both walls on either side of the driveway, and it appears that they exist in the existing right-of-way, which would mean it's an encroachment. Some of the fencing also appears to slightly encroach into the existing right-of-way. We're looking at the same plan sheet again, except this one focuses on the legal description calls. You can see I'm circling the property line calls on this sheet, which is the Barker property runs to the center of the road, and the property lines show that. Yellow indicates the PRO portion of the 1WD take. So this will be the last plan sheet of the Barker property. There's a match line there, which will match with the previous sheet. A dotted line represents the easterly boundary of the Barker property, and it runs to the center of the road. That red arrow shows the approximate location of the view that we're looking at. And here's a road scene. We're at the end of the property looking in a westerly direction up the hill, looking down station. That solid red line represents the take area. Yellow indicates the PRO within the 1WD take. The net WD take is what's left. Blue line indicates the temporary that's taken. We're at Highway Station 694, and there's some trees and fencing that is in the take area. Same detail sheet again, but again, this one is focusing on the legal calls. So now we're going to match all those detail sheets together. This was the first detail sheet we looked at. This was the second detail sheet we looked at. And this was the third detail sheet we looked at. To the left shows the westerly property line of the Barker property. Their property extends to the center line of State Route 73, and now we're running down the easterly property line of the Barker tract. That solid red line is the extent of the 1WD taking. It is 44.85 feet to the east. It's 618 feet along the center line of the road. It's 49.09 feet to the west, and it's 588 feet where it abuts the temporary. That second red line is the existing right-of-way line. PRO is shown in yellow, and the net WD is between the two solid red lines. Net WD is approximately 10 feet wide. What follows next is a blue line that's outlining the approximate location of the temporary. All right, next we're going to look at the title report. For every real estate acquisition done for the Ohio Department of Transportation, there's usually a title report done before the appraisal process. Anybody who is appraising the property should have access to that title report. In this case, it was a 42-year title report. It shows that the fee owner are the Barkers. The second page of the title report shows that there's some easements on it. There's right-of-way easements. One appears to be for water. The other appears to be for the electric. Easement for electric and water. The easements blanket the entire property. Title agent noted that it's not known if there are lines within the take areas. Attached to the title report is the warranty deed showing evidence of when the Barkers bought the property. Lance Barker bought the property in July 26, 1999 for $165,000. Deed describes the property as containing 5.040 acres. The right-of-way summary sheet states the property contains 5.042 acres, just a slight discrepancy. So what we've done is we've gone to the property map, we've blown up a portion of the map that shows the Barker tract, and based on this legal description on the deed, this easterly property line is 521.62 feet. The rear property line is 162.61 feet. The westerly property line is 757.53 feet. And the portion of their property that goes to the center line of the road is 621.24 feet. ODOT is taking a WD take and a D take and a T take. And there are exhibits describing what those takes are. It's part of the instrument. And again, the appraiser, whoever is appraising this property, should have access to those Exhibit A's because they were needed to draw the right-of-way plans. Okay, so here's the Exhibit A for the WD taking. All right title and interest in fee simple without limitation of access rights is what's taken. The grantor reserves all existing rights of ingress and egress to and from any residual area. It is described here. Exhibit, the portion that we're looking at right now, was created by the Ohio Attorney General's office. It describes the property rights that are required. The lower part of this exhibit was created by the surveyor. It describes the taking and where the taking is located. In red starts the description that describes the 1WD take. We're now moving to the second page of that exhibit where the legal description continues. Based on this legal description, portion of the Barker property that goes to the center line of the road is 618.73 feet. The easterly portion of the take is 44.85 feet. Where the take abuts the T is 588 feet. And then the westerly portion of the take is 49.09 feet. So the total WD taking is 0.554 acres, of which 0.405 acres is encumbered with PRO. This is the Exhibit A for the T acquisition. T is a temporary easement needed for grading and seeding. It's for 18 months, starting from the date ODOT enters onto the property. To the down below is the legal description that is describing the T area. This is the second page of the Exhibit A. The legal description continues. The north line of the T abuts the southerly WD line and is 588.23 feet along the new right-of-way line. The depth of the T varies from 9.6 feet along the westerly border to 25 feet by the drive to 10 feet at the easterly border. T contains 0.151 acres. So let's put it all together, what we know before the taking. The whole and larger parcel appear to be the same. Property is owned in fee by the Barkers. Property contains 5.042 acres. The area encumbered by PRO is 0.405 acres. So the area of the whole that is net of any PRO is 4.637 acres. The net whole has 588.23 feet along State Route 73. The property is trapezoidal in shape. The drive is right of Highway Station 691, is about 20 feet wide at the right-of-way line. It has full turnability from the drive to either the east or westbound lanes of State Route 73. And State Route 73 is a two-lane road in the area where the Barker property is located. Property is rural residential. It's improved with a residential home, an outbuilding, and a pond. The home and outbuilding are about 70 feet from the existing road right-of-way. And here's a blow-up from the detail sheet. You can see that the house is approximately 70 feet from the existing road right-of-way. What we know about the WD taking. It's from a portion of the whole along State Route 73. It contains 0.554 acres, of which 0.405 acres is PRO, leaving a net take of 0.149 acres. It's a long, narrow strip. In gross, the WD is 588 feet to 618 feet long, and its depth ranges from 49 to 44 feet. The net WD take is 10 feet wide by 588 feet long. It is a fee simple taking, leaving the right of ingress and egress to the residue. The new drive is about 10 feet south of its current location, remains about 20 feet wide at the right-of-way, and is still at its location right of Highway Station 691. Improvements in the take consist of a stone entry wall, a gate, chain link fencing, concrete drive, and trees. So here's some of the trees that are taken. You can see that there's an X through them. The drive is taken that is located within the net WD area. Fence that is taken extends along the road frontage. Stone walls are taken on either side of the driveway. What we know about the T taking, it will affect the residue property. It abuts the WD taking along its entire length, approximately 588 feet. Its duration is 18 months or 1.5 years, and it starts when ODOT enters onto the property for construction purposes. It's needed for seeding and drive reconstruction. Within the T area are some trees, grass-covered land, and fencing. A portion of the drive within the T will be reconstructed by the project. What we know about the residue. The residue is determined as follows. Whole property before the taking is 5.042 acres. The gross WD taking is 0.554 acres, which leaves a residue of 4.488 acres. Size and shape of the property. What we've done is we've gone to the property map again. We've duplicated the blow up for the Barker tract. On the left signifies the property before the taking, and on the right signifies the property after the taking. So there is the westerly property line shown on both sketches. Before the taking, that property line was 757.53 feet, and on the residue, it's reduced to 708 feet. Next, we're showing the rear property line on both sketches. Before the taking, the rear property line was 162.61 feet, and after the taking, it remains the same, 162.61 feet. We're now showing the easterly property line, both before and after the take. Before the take, the easterly property line was 521.62 feet in length, and after, it's 476 feet. We're now showing the northerly property line, the portion of the property that abuts the highway. Before the taking, it was 618.73 feet, ran to the center of the road. After the taking, it's 588 feet and no longer runs to the center of the road. Before the taking, the property contained 5.042 acres, of which 0.405 acres was encumbered by a standard highway easement. After the taking, the property contains 4.488 acres. There is no PRO encumbered area. Before the taking, the non-PRO encumbered area was 4.637 acres. So, if we can compare the net area before the taking, which is 4.637 acres, to the area of the residue that has no PRO of 4.48 acres, there is a 3.2% loss in net size. The residue drive retains full turning movement to both east and westbound lanes of traffic, so there's no change there. The setback from the right-of-way is reduced from 70 feet before the taking to 60 feet after the taking. Overall, based on the right-of-way plans, there's nothing that stands out as complicated. The use and function of the property that it had before the taking remains essentially the same for the residue. The anticipated compensation may exceed $10,000 due to the numerous site improvements that are taken. It's time for a knowledge check.